Well, hi folks, middle of August now, coming towards the end of summer, unfortunately I think, so just give you another little fortnightly roundup. Start off in the greenhouse, just turn this camera around and show you what's going on. Right, tomatoes finally starting to ripen up now. Some of them from the bottom. These are the cherry tomatoes, the huge cherry tomatoes, big trusses on those, but like I said, just starting to ripen up now. Better late than never. That's the other one. That's more of a cherry tomato size. Just a little one. But so I don't know why the other ones are just so big. They're all the same. They're all gardener's delight. I get some cracking trusses of Shirley's on, if you see. But like I said, no ripeners yet. Even though it's the middle of August, there's an odd smaller one on the lower trusses starting to ripen up. What I do is I chop all the leaves off sort of underneath the sort of ripening tomatoes as they ripen up, so just to put more energy into the tomatoes rather than into the leaves, which are pretty much redundant at the moment, and that lets a bit more sunlight in to hopefully ripen them up. And you don't need to water them as much because the leaves aren't wasting as much water. Right, that's the tomatoes anyway. These are those oxhorn peppers, which like I said before, I've never seen any as prolific, and they're so tasty. I had one the other day. They're so sweet, and they must be getting on for 15, 20 fruit on here. So we'll definitely be growing those again because they've been such a good cropper. These are normal sweet peppers, the bell peppers as you call them, which will probably go red eventually, but are very doubtful this year. Still getting a few little ones on, so I'm getting quite a few of those, so that's not too bad. I'll just show you this, which is one of these giant tomatoes, which is putting a few quite big ones out if you look, but I've got one in the greenhouse in the polytunnel up at the plot, and I'll show you that later on when I go up there, which is the biggest tomato I've ever grown. It's probably the biggest tomato I've ever seen, to be honest. Cucumbers, still getting some forming. They're only little ones now, but they'll swell. They're the long ones. And we've got another one there, a little diddy one growing up. That's still producing a few. The chillies, for some reason this year, even though we've had such a low sunshine year, doing fantastically well. These are the Joe's Long. If you see the size of those, that's why they're called Joe's Long, because they are horrendously long chillies, and they ripen up to a nice red one like that over there eventually. And then there's the prairie fires as usual. They're starting to produce loads of chillies now. They're a really sort of attractive plant because they produce the chilli sort of pointing outwards, so apart from being hot and easy to grow, they're an attractive plant, dead easy to grow in a little pot. They're only like 5 or 6 inch pots, or maybe a litre or two of compost at most. So that's about it in the greenhouse, folks, and lovely hot day today, so we'll just nip up to the plot and show you what else is going on up there. Well, hi folks, here we are, amazingly a lovely sunny evening. So I'll just give you a quick rush through of what's going on up here. Nothing's changed much. Peas are finished now, the first lot, so I've stripped all the plants down and left all the sort of roots in because they produce nitrogen, blah blah blah. The silly cabbages are getting even bigger now. That's nearly a basketball size, these Savoy ones, so just ridiculous this year. Lettuces still, loads of lettuces. I'll just try and zoom in on some of these banana shallots instead of walking around. They're getting to a fair size now, so I think I'll pull those up in a week or so because they're big enough now. After a really iffy start, they're doing okay now. Same with the garlic. It did have a bit of rust, but it seems to have sort of sorted itself out. There are a few bits on it, but we'll give that another 2 weeks or so until it starts to flop over and harvest that as well. So hopefully we should get a reasonable crop after being a bit worried about getting rust earlier. Potatoes are getting that tall now, they're starting to fall over, so still growing. It's just been a bit of a pain watering them really. I think some of the ones that have fallen over are the King Edwards, if you can see, but when they fall over you can actually get to the pots to water them. So got a few King Edwards, a lot of Sarpo varieties, so we'll start doing a few potato reveals in a bit once they start to die off. Right, that's about it for that bit. I'll just have a quick nip into Polytunnel and show you this crazy tomato. Well, into Polytunnel now, and it's a bit of a depressing sight because I've pulled all my show onions up and they weren't anything to write home about. They were maybe £2 each maximum, so Not a great success this year, and I still do have that pink root in the bed. I'll just show you the sort of size they were. Like that sort of size. So that one's got a little bit of mould on it, that's why I've not taken that, but they're not a bad shape. They'll do for some little local shows and things. But anyway, it's always a depressing sign when your onions are up like that, because you've got this whole bed spare. But I've planted some more lettuce and cabbage, so I'll be growing those over winter, sort of up to Christmas time, for a continuation of lettuce and cabbage once it gets a bit cold outside. The French beans are finally starting to slow down a bit now, but as you can see, still getting plenty of beans on, and it's just been growing along and down now. Now the onions have gone. But they've been cropping for a good 6 weeks, so I've had plenty of them, so I've been really pleased with them this year. And because it's not been too hot, they've actually grown up to the top of the polytunnel without frying like they do sometimes when it gets too hot. Again, the courgettes getting taller and taller, still producing more courgettes. That's where the big onion was, so that's another depressing sight. That's gone. If you didn't see the video, I put a video up of me weighing it. So if you want to see what weight it got to, have a look for that one. Stump carrot's still doing well. Same as the long ones as normal, so I won't go through that again. Right, wait till you see this. Well, these are my giant tomatoes. And we've got getting some nice ones on like that. And then some even bigger ones like that. And then they've got this thing here. Check out the size of that thing. I don't know if you can get any perspective in it, but it's got to be 7-8 inches across now. It's absolutely enormous and still growing, so it's just hilarious watching things like that grow. Look, it's absolutely monstrous. So I reckon about £2 in weight, that thing on its own, and it's still not ripened, so it'll still be growing. So it's just been really good fun growing that this year. Right, the carrots, the giant carrots, absolutely split to heck now. But if you see the size, look at that across, that's about 6 inches across. So what is underneath? Apparently for the heavyweight classes, as long as they're not rotten, doesn't matter if they're split, it's nothing to do with what they look like, it's all about size. So who knows, we'll see what they're like when we pull them up, or whether or not I'm going to Harrogate, I don't know this year, because I've not got a lot of stuff to put in, and I'm not just going to go I'll drive all the way there just with a few daft giant veg. Right, we'll just have another quick look outside. I'll show you the big marrows, and then that'll be about it, I think. Well, here we are in the marrow patch. Plants are nothing like they were last year. They're nowhere near as big. So I mean, they were about 4 times as big last year. Anyway, I've got a couple of marrows set on each plant. Well, one on each, sorry. There's one under there, which is the smaller of the two. I'm keeping it out of the sun with some foam matting, because you don't want the sun to get to the skins, because that's when they start going ripe and then split and stop growing. And then this is the other plant here, and I've got my marrow under. I'll just take the lid off just to show you the marrow. I've put a bit of a wooden box around it to keep the sun off. So I'll show you this one. This is about 10 days old. It's probably about £15–20 or so now. So I don't know, it might. I'm not that hopeful this year, but you never know. If it grows for another month, we might get to a big one. So anyway, that's the big marrows. I hope they grow a bit bigger than that, but like I say, it's only 10 days old, that. So finally, just the last bit in here, just like I said, some more lettuces and the turnips. Look how they've grown. They've really shot on it last sort of week, 10 days. And then the second lot of peas, ready to be picked again. So that's about it, folks. I've noticed a lot of people being a bit despondent on the videos. I'm the same. It's been such a sort of miserable year this year. I've not had any time to sort of come up here and enjoy myself, really. This is one of the rare nights where I can sort of sit up and chill out in the sun, because otherwise it's, you know, it's just been like raining and windy and cold, and it's just been a bit of a chore. So anyway, I've noticed another few people have been felt the same this year, but hopefully we'll get a decent one next year. Anyway, that's about it, folks. I'll just zoom in on Ingleborough. That was the mountain I had a walkabout around the other day, if you remember the video. So that's about it, folks. See you later.